Hey everyone, welcome to Chine Coaching. Rob here. I'm really excited. We've got a local Dallas business owner and entrepreneur here, John, who's going to be a part of this video. And specifically, we're going to discuss just advice on to help students looking for jobs in this difficult economic time and just learn what companies are doing to adjust and adapt here in the coronavirus. So grab some chai and join us. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. I want to introduce John.
Glad
John,
to be here.
Go ahead and give us a little bit of just who you are and what's your background.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob, for the invitation. Glad to be here. My name is John Ragsdale. I'll describe myself as a CIO, a business owner, entrepreneur, a husband, a father, son, lots of things. But I've been in IT about 25 years, which has taken me through Atlanta and Charlotte and Baton Rouge and Dallas-Fort Worth. I've been a healthcare CIO, specifically the last 11 years. Small, large organizations, everything from public health to Medicare, patient experience, which was interesting, primary care, spine care, ortho, eye care, and senior care. Lots of different aspects of healthcare. In addition, though, I've started my own custom software and services company called Tap Innovations, and super excited about that. We develop custom software and do lots of things, but be glad to dive into that some more.
Thanks for joining us. I love just your background and your experience. I think is going to give some great insight today. And so let's just jump into the real big important question. A lot of my friends, the international students and just job seekers are asking, what advice would you have for students or people who are about to graduate who are looking for jobs right now in the current economic situation with COVID-19?
Great question, and one that I've contemplated ever since, going back to when I was in that same situation, and actually all through my career as I've had multiple positions. But I'll hit a couple of points here. One, have a great resume. Now, that might sound like a no-brainer, but one that touches on not only your academic accomplishments, but your volunteer accomplishments, your social accomplishments, and other things. Keep it up to date, right? And in that, stay connected professionally on LinkedIn and some other professional social channels regularly. Figure out a way to stand out. Think about your career plan and where you want to go. And I'm going to use an example of myself. Now, this dates me a little bit, but it goes back to the 90s, still applicable. When I was looking to come out of school, again, I figured that, I was talented, had a lot of things, but I had to figure out a way to make myself stand out. And so, again, I did that just the way I described it, making sure that my academic achievements were there, my volunteer achievements, right? Not just to put it somewhere, not just to say, hey, I did this, but actually really get involved and volunteer, and then connect. We didn't have LinkedIn back in 1990, but connect in those social networks. Secondly, find creative ways to get practical experience in your major area of study, whatever that might be, even if it means not getting paid. Right? I'll give you an example, and I just heard about this about a week ago. There's a family, right, kind of sheltering in place, and they're some cousins and groups are scattered across the country. Well, they got together and decided, you know what, we're going to start a project, and we're actually going to develop a software, a gaming software ourselves. And so they split up the roles, and they had one person that was going to do developing, one person that was going to do testing, one person that was even going to play the project manager, right? So a creative way to, show your skills or build on top of your skills, even in the midst of this craziness. I'll give you one more example. And this is an example of my middle son, Harrison. A couple of years ago, he decided to start his own not-for-profit, and he calls it Harry's Computers, where he collects computer parts, things that people are throwing away and getting rid of, and he collects those parts, puts those together, and then donates those to those in need, to churches and to schools and to other places. So again, it's a creative way to get practical experience, in the things that you like to do and what you want to do with your career.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more thing. Third thing, find a mentor that is willing to coach you on a regular basis. And again, one really critical thing here, don't depend on the mentor to set up the conversations. Own the relationship. So the person being mentored should own that relationship. And I'll give you an example. I've been a mentor for here the last 7 years with the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, the Mentor 2.0 program. And it's a great program, mentored a couple of high school students that are now actually in college, and spend 2 or 3 hours a week. And nowadays, it's online and virtual, but really, really critical. And I encourage the mentee to ask a lot of questions, right? Don't just sit back and expect the mentor to bring things to you. Ask a lot of questions, research, and take notes. So those are just some examples and some advice that I would give students and graduates, looking for jobs now.
I love it. Yeah, it's like, just kind of recap. It's about taking initiative. It's about standing out. It's about showcasing your experience. And I think the people that can do that well still have a great chance. John, we had a conversation a few weeks back. It was fun being on your video, and as you're interviewing people how are we adjusting to the coronavirus? I'll put the link above and in the description so people can check that out. But what's TAP doing? How have you guys been kind of pivoting and adjusting and reacting to the current economy with your guys' business?
Now, great question. First of all, we were already virtually working anyway. TAP is comprised of about 40 or 50 folks across the world, right? We're in Dallas, Fort Worth. We're in India. We've got some folks in the Philippines. We've got some folks in Maryland. Right? We've got some folks a little bit all over the place. And we were already working virtually. So that part was an easy transition, if you even call it a transition. However, the challenges were around the sales. So sales began to really slow down in March. People were busy, focused on trying to get their workforce working from home, and new projects were not at the top of their list. People were not buying. And so we, as a team, got together and said, okay, we're not able to sell now. That's fine. What can we do? And I got some advice from a mentor, right? Even a 25-year career, IT veteran needs a mentor. Talked to a mentor, and what they described was, hey, get out there and build relationships. Find a way to create conversations, create interest without trying to be salesy and sell people stuff. So what we did, and you mentioned it a second ago, we created an interview series, non-salesy, and we call it the TAP Industry Analysis Spotlight, TIA Spotlight, where we're simply interviewing leaders across the world. We've talked to folks from India. We've talked to folks from Canada. We've talked to folks from Dallas. We've talked to some students. We've talked to some folks in Florida, in all different industries, and really just asking, 3 simple questions. What are the challenges? What are you doing? And then the creative question of, hey, if you didn't have money and resource constraints, what would you do? And again, all we're simply doing then is sharing those conversations. Really, it's less about me, and it's more about the person that we're interviewing, giving them a channel, giving them an avenue to share what's on their mind. And then we publish those through our channels, and allow them to publish those through the channel. So it's really just creating relationships, one, with the folks that we're interviewing, but two, as we spread their message, right, creating relationships there. So again, obviously at some point we want sales to pick back up, but we knew that we needed to open the conversation, create awareness about TAP and these social issues and things that are coming on. So anyway, we were super excited about it, and it's worked out really, really well.
What's the initial response been like?
Gosh, in 2 weeks, we performed 15 different interviews. So it's been super, in terms of the things that we've been able to do, and the folks that we've been able to interview, and the response, right? You can go on social media and see, how many views and clicks and things, and people are just really interested, again, around the world about the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, and even though we can't physically meet with people in person, there's no better time to collaborate and build relationships, and kind of, this is a great way to build your brand as well in that kind of waiting time.
Absolutely.
Well, one last question for you, John. As people are thinking about jobs and having to adjust, what kind of companies do you think are hiring, and how should people be thinking about companies, industries, job markets right now that might be different than it was maybe 3-4 months ago?
And we hear this a lot in whether it's the articles we read or if you listen to the news, right? I think the biggest thing to do is to think about essential industries, both now, today, the things that are going on, as well as, what folks might be calling the new norm. And so those essential industries, right, if you just think about what's going on in the world today, right? There are technology companies that are booming, right? Think about Zoom, right? We're on a Zoom meeting now, and think about the business that has exploded for Zoom. Now, there are other online, technologies, WebEx and some other companies that are also booming. LogMeIn, I know we're doing some things, and some of the companies I'm working with. Think about those companies, right? They're booming, right? And think about this virtual meeting world. What's going to be needed from a technology standpoint to support this? And again, those can kind of then go into deeper industries like healthcare, right? Telemedicine, right? Require the use of Zoom and other technologies. So, technology companies that are bringing that to the table. You can think of online streaming, right? I'm sure the Netflix of the world and the Amazons of the world that are streaming all sorts of content, right? They're just booming. Healthcare is an essential industry, right? They're on the front lines, really attacking this COVID-19 situation. They were already in need before the pandemic, and they're going to be even more in need going forward because we all need healthcare. And by the way, I've been in healthcare about 20 some odd years, so I know from a personal standpoint, the huge need for healthcare and then technology around healthcare. Manufacturing is huge, right? If you've been, gone online to order something, right? Things are in demand, right? They might not deliver for, a month. And you think, wow, that's unusual. I really need this thing that I'm ordering. Why does it take so long to get there? Whether it be paper products or, right? Think about all the manufacturing that's required and the resources needed for that. Distribution of those things is also a really hot
supply chain
area, right? So yes, you need to manufacture, but then you got to distribute or get those goods and services to people in different ways, right? It could be the trucks, could be trains, could be all sorts of things. Grocery stores, folks that are providing the food, again, in different ways. I mean, they're challenged. I even talked to a gentleman the other day, and his kids are actually going to volunteer at the local grocery store because they just need so many extra workers. And the last one I'll just throw out there is agriculture, right? We're going to need, there's a challenge. I say agriculture, but whatever food industry, because I just read some articles about meat being in hot demand and shortage, and they have some other issues going on. So those industries are all going to need resources. Now, I think it's, those companies are all, and organizations are all thinking about, oh my gosh, what is the new norm? But if you're a student or a graduate thinking about those, get involved, read about those industries, see what they're doing and see what their needs are, and then craft your message or get some practical experience. I mentioned that earlier. Figure out a creative way to maybe do a project in that area and get someone's attention and see if you can find a role in one of those industries.
No, that's great advice. John, as we wrap up, anything just real quick you want people to know about TAP, your company here in Dallas?
TAP, I'll give you our analogy, right? We don't create core business systems. We make them better and more efficient. And what happens is people use their core business systems, whether it be an HR system, a finance system, a point of sale system, right? They use those big systems. Those are good, but where they fall short, people create what we call manual efforts and spreadsheets. And if you think about that acronym, it spells MESS or mess. And so we simply look for messes, and then we reach into our digital toolbox. It's pre-built and pre-integrated. We grab the appropriate tools and we solve messes. And so we do that in multiple industries. We have an affinity or a focus in the small, medium business. We think that those folks are typically underserved and have lower IT maturity. And so we try to bring really great tools and solve messes in that SMB space. So that's a little bit about TAP.
I love it. Well, thanks so much. Your conversation has been really fun. I learned a lot. I know it's going to really help a lot of people. And yeah, thanks for joining us at Chine Coaching. And yeah, thanks for everyone else who watched this video. Let John know in the comments what was really helpful for you guys to get some great just coaching and guidance during this time. And yeah, at Chine Coaching, we want to help everyone on their cross-cultural journey here in America, studying and working. And yeah, don't forget to connect, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Awesome, Rob. Thank you. Enjoyed it.